Hi, I'm Hannah Kaufman, the Undersecretary General of Public Relations for the Florida Crisis Simulation, and with me is Fred Kolb, the President of the University of Florida Model United Nations Club, as well as the Crisis Coordinator for our Roaring 20's JCC. So Fred, tell me a little bit about your committee and how the two committees will be working together.
Well, first of all, I would like to say I'm very excited for FLCS this year, and my committee in particular, obviously. The 1920s are one of my favorite time periods in history, I think, especially because there's so much going on during that time, especially in the United States. World War I had just come to a close, and all of a sudden there was this big economic boom. There was still a lot of social issues, racism, sexism, prohibition, of course, so people had to kind of deal with not having alcohol anymore. Organized crime became really big. So there are a lot of different issues that play into that time period, and I think for a crisis committee it's absolutely essential that you have a lot of those issues that you can work with. And it's just a really fascinating time period. I really like The Great Gatsby, it's one of my favorite novels.
Right.
And I think the whole time period really epitomizes what was good about the United States at the time, what was bad about it. And I'm really excited to see how the delegates kind of make that work.
Yeah, so you were telling me earlier that your inspiration for this committee was kind of based on Boardwalk Empire, the television show. So how much do you think that that will play into your committee?
It'll partially play into it. The Boardwalk Empire is only one of the sides of the JCC, the other side is the New York City Council. And some elements from the TV show will be part of that committee, yes. But something I really like about the show is that it's also relatively historically accurate. There are a lot of historical characters in there. And some of the issues they deal with, especially as they relate to prohibition, are very much based on what actually happened. Right. So I'm really excited about that. Also, I really don't want people to kind of go in there with this, it's going to be cops versus gangsters mentality.
Right.
It's going to be very much, they'll be set in the same universe, but the goal of the committee is not necessarily the total annihilation of the other side, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So again, there are a lot of different issues. So the New York City Council and Boardwalk Empire are really only two facets of those issues that are going on.
Okay, cool. So what is your element of crisis that you're most excited about, for this crisis in particular?
Kind of what I touched on earlier, I think the interaction between the two rooms is going to be really interesting in terms of crisis notes. Just because, again, there are so many different things that they'll have to deal with, and especially the New York City Council, once prohibition actually becomes a thing, when the committee starts, that act won't have officially been passed yet. So I'm really looking forward to see how they address those issues in their crisis notes and how they kind of circumvent this idea that they don't necessarily have to work against the other side, but they have to kind of take into consideration what they give them.
Okay, cool. So you're a senior, you've been through quite a number of FLCS
don't remind me.
here at UF. So what's your favorite FLCS memory?
I think just the whole conference last year when I was Secretary General, that was an amazing experience. It was a big breakthrough year for us. We had around 150 delegates, I think, had a lot of committees, and we had some really innovative stuff going on last year. The 24 committee had its big debut last year, and that was a really fun experience. I got to go in there a couple times, and people seemed really excited about it. It was very much in character. They really made use of the room actually and made use of that real-time element of it.
Right, yeah.
And I was very proud of that conference, and I'm very happy to be here my last year now and to direct the committee for the first time actually at FLCS.
Yeah. Really? Okay, cool. So I have to ask, you're directing this JCC kind of based on Boardwalk Empire, so who do you think is your Boardwalk Empire counterpart? Which character do you think you're most similar to?
The thing is, I can't really answer that question because a lot of those people are very unscrupulous gangsters, obviously, so I'm just going to brush that question aside a little bit. But what I would like to be is, back in the 1920s, a lot of those cities experienced their really big booms, obviously, and Mr. Gatsby, he was one of those characters who really profited off of that through his big parties. So Mr. Gatsby is not a character in the committee, but I think a lot of people in the Boardwalk Empire committee are very much similar to the mindset that he had. So if I could be any character, I think I would really like to be Gatsby, obviously.
Gatsby, okay.
So again, he won't be in the committee, but if you read the book, if you saw the movie, you'll probably recognize a lot of those elements from the book and the movie that will be present in the committee.
Of course. Well, thanks, Fred. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at the Florida Crisis Simulation, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FLCS_UF. All right, thanks guys. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Hannah. Appreciate it.